All right, everybody, sorry about the delay. I want to welcome everybody here tonight to our May City Council meeting. We've got a great turnout tonight, mostly because we're recognizing some young men, and they are here in the audience with their parents. And so I think it'll probably about half empty out once they're done. But we appreciate everybody being here. We're going to go ahead and call the meeting to order and ask everybody to stand to do the Pledge of Allegiance. And then Pastor Guay is going to come up and he's going to bless the meeting for us.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Pastor Guay, yes, sir. If everybody could remain standing for Pastor Guay.
God with us tonight. Gracious Father, come to you this evening. Thank you. Thank you, God, for the air that we can. Thank you, God, for the shelter and the provisions for us and our family. Thank you, Heavenly Father, that we can come into celebrate. Thank you for the leadership. Thank you for the vision. Thank you, Heavenly Father, that we commune as a village. In spite of all that is going on around this world, in spite of all that is going on around this nation, pause, come together. Ask that tonight, ask that your Holy Spirit continue to abide with us. All that we do, say, here, leave this space, always be with us. Praise your name, glorify your name for those things that have seen. Know that you are business. Ask you for all these things. Glorify your name. Of Jesus Christ.
Amen.
Thank you, Dr. Guay. I think we upped our prayer game tonight. Appreciate you being here to do that. Next, we're going to move on to the first order of business, which is the approval of the agenda. I'll recognize Mr. Perkle.
Thank you, Mayor. I'd like to make a motion to amend the agenda and add item number 9, property tax collection policy. We did discuss this at our work session, but we forgot to include it in the regular agenda.
Thank you. I have a motion to adopt the agenda with an amendment. Is there a second?
Second.
I have a second. All those in favor, please raise your right hand. All right, next we'll move on to the approval of the minutes for the council meeting and executive session on April 14th, 2025, and the work session and executive session on April 7th, 2025. Is there a motion to approve the minutes?
I make a motion to approve the minutes from the council meeting April 14th and the work session April 7th.
Have a motion from Mr. Hicks. Is there a second?
Mayor, I'll approve. Second.
Second from Mr. Page.
Councilmembers Hicks.
All those in favor of approval, please raise your right hand. All right, next we're going to move on to awards, presentations, proclamations, and I'm going to recognize Mr. Hicks.
This is a special night for not just us as a council, but for the youth that we have and present here tonight. I think a lot of you that have been that are present here have heard us through the year speak about the tremendous things that has been happening within the Brothers Making Moves BMM Youth Enrichment Program that is led by Dr. Bobby Guay, a host of a lot of community members, along with Mayor Hembry, myself, Barton Robinson, Leslie Adamas, Joy Crow, and host of a lot of other community members. So today, we thought that it would be a great opportunity to continue to keep celebrating these young men. As we've mentioned previously, this program is predominantly within the Lanier cluster. What we do is we have a selection of 7th grade middle school from Lanier Middle School, whereas they're hand-selected by the administration there for a lot of great qualities that is seen within them. And then what that entails is that twice a month, every other Saturday, through the entirety of the school year, these young men get up every Saturday morning to come to the East Center to be led by this village that I've spoke about. And again, it's an amazing opportunity, not just for us as the leaders, but for the parents, but most importantly for these young men. This past Tuesday, we had the opportunity to graduate these young men into what is identified as distinguished gentlemen through the Lanier High School program that also was started by Dr. Gway several years ago. And it was an amazing opportunity to see these young men, how they have grown, the way that they carry themselves. But there was a big commitment that came along with it, right? They just weren't giving these beautiful neckties that you would see each of them wearing, and I'm wearing here today as well, that they will be wearing every Thursday when they get into the high school, was one of their requirements. But again, you see the way that they speak in public, a growth in that. You see the way that they shake your hand. Right? If you have the opportunity, just stop one of them and just have a brief moment and just speak to them. And you see the firm handshake. You see the way that they now know how to tie a necktie, which probably there's some grown men that's around here somewhere that don't know how to tie a necktie. Each of them know how to tie a tie. Each of them know how to look at you in your eyes when they're speaking to you. Each of them will say yes, sir, and no, ma'am, and yes, ma'am, to you when they're speaking to you. And again, that wasn't anything that was taught to them. That was things that was just pulled out that was already there. And again, what this program did is it just fermented what's there and it just pulled them out because, again, it takes a village, right? The moms and the parents are doing an amazing job with these young men. But again, it just took the vision of Dr. Gway to pull all of these young men together and to just kind of enrich them is what the enrichment program is. So tonight, what the mayor thought would be befitting, and myself as well, is that we wanted to honor these young men one last time before they start their summer, go into the distinguished program within the Lanier High School. We wanted to honor them one last time right here in front of this amazing city that they're all a part of. So what we're going to do is we're going to read the proclamation, and then we'll call all of them up to call them out and give them their recognition individually. All right. So I'm going to read the proclamation. In recognition of completion of the Brothers Making Move Enrichment Academy, whereas these young men were selected to participate in the inaugural class of the Brothers Making Moves BMM Enrichment Academy. And whereas the BMM Enrichment Academy is a nonprofit organization founded in Sugar Hill for the purpose of supporting 7th and 8th grade boys at Lanier Middle School in their leadership development. And whereas these young men were chosen to participate in the BMM Enrichment Academy because they exhibit leadership characteristics that make them stand out among their fellow students at Lanier Middle School. And whereas the future of our community depends upon the development and empowerment of youth leaders like these young men that demonstrate resiliency and integrity. And whereas fostering leadership skills in young people like these young men cultivates responsible citizenship, builds stronger communities, and ensures a pipeline of capable and compassionate future leaders. And whereas during their time in the BMM Enrichment Academy, these young men made significant contributions toward their own personal growth, the growth of their BMM classmates, and the growth of their adult mentors. And whereas these young men participated for the entirety of the 2-year program and graduated with honors on May 6, 2025. And now therefore, be it resolved by the mayor and city council of the city of Sugar Hill that we thank these young men for their commitment towards growing as leaders in our community, congratulate them on their completion of the BMM Enrichment Academy, and look forward to their future leadership in the city of Sugar Hill community, adopted this day, the 12th day of May, 2025, at Sugar Hill, Georgia. If you guys would just please just help me stand up and give each one of these young men an amazing round of applause, please.
All right, if Barton, Leslie, Bobby, and Joy could come up front to the dais with us, we're going to hand out each individual's proclamations.
You. All right, so I'm going to call each. Renato Garza. Next we have Jacob Anderson. Reginald Howell. Alejandro Garcia. Nigel Lansu Rainer. Simeon Highsmith. He started this program. Next we have Malcolm Steele. Carter Gill. Next we got Emperor Robinson. Hayden Arroyo. Ephraim Medina. Some man right here was both with an award from BMM as high award, known as Prez, or he got the presidential award, and that's Austin Dixon. Elvis Agalate. Elsie Agalate. Next we have Adrian Nunez. We also have William Lau. We have Elsie Abalase.
So we'll need to shift all the way this way.
Council's gonna come down.
We're running a meeting here.
All right, before everybody leaves the room, we have one more recognition to make, and I'm going to recognize Councilmember Hicks for that one as well.
If you ever want to get me to talk, just put kids in it, and I'll talk all day long. Again, because the mayor said this, and I'll often quote him when he said this, that our youth is the most important resident in this city for various reasons, and I really believe that. So again, we're going to recognize a few more youth. One of the privileges that I have is the opportunity to work alongside and to lead our youth council. And again, these are some talented high school kids from within North Gwinnett or Lanier High School. They're hand-selected. Again, it's a rigorous interview process that they go through in order to be a part of this program. And again, they often meet here several times a month, working through several things and initiatives to better themselves, learning about local government, but not just local government, working through Toastmasters and how to speak in public, as well as being an intricate part within our community with volunteering, through various different events that the city hosts, as well as being students that are actually focusing on their AP classes and getting ready for college. So tonight, I have the privilege of recognizing our seniors that will be graduating and going on to do amazing things in their next journey through their education. And so tonight I will be recognizing Chloe Moore, who is the mayor of the city council. I will be recognizing Noah Fox, who is also the mayor pro tem of the youth council. Marjorie Guerrero, who is the secretary, and Liron Yuyun, who is a senior as well. So I'm going to actually call them up. We're going to have graduation cords, but we will give them at a later time. We will acknowledge them by giving them a certificate of completion for the program. And again, I would ask that you also please stand and give each one of these amazing seniors and youth within our program a standing hand of ovation, please. I would do something embarrassing, and but I'm not going to do that to them this time because they are amazing kids. So this year we didn't have, every year we do a lot of different programs, and one of the biggest trips that we take as a youth council is going to the NLC convention in Washington, D.C. And this year, unfortunately, just due to a little bit tighter budget constraints, we did not have the opportunity to do that this year. So it was very unfortunate. I was a bit sad about that opportunity that they passed on. But the ingenuity and the thought process of these youth, coupled with the help of our mayor, we allowed an opportunity for them to be able to go down to the state capitol and they utilize the opportunity right here within our local government here. So again, they were some strong seniors. I'm super proud of each one of them, of what you guys have done for our city. I am so amazed to see what you're going to do for in your next journey through school and the upcoming the lowerclassmen or the juniors, and those of you that, again, I'm super excited about the opportunity that you guys will have coming in. So we want to recognize our mayor, Chloe Moore. And our mayor pro tem, Noah Fox. And now Secretary Marjorie Guerrero. And last and certainly not least, Liron Yuyun. All right, so you can get up here, and I would ask if the mayor and council would come down and get the picture. Before I would be remiss, and I'm so sorry, that this program would not be possible, these youth council would not be possible without the amazing advisors, Victoria and Chase, who, again, their day doesn't end at 5 p.m., right? These are teenagers, so they texting and calling throughout the course of their day. So I would be, again, humbly proud and super thankful for the work that both of you have done working with these amazing kids. So sorry about that. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
All right, before anybody leaves, and everybody that was just recognized has permission to leave unless they want to stay for the whole city council meeting, I just wanted to say one last word. I had the opportunity to speak at their graduation ceremony. I didn't do too well. I kind of got emotional at the very beginning of it, and it lasted all the way through to the end. And so I'm not going to give a really long speech tonight, but I just wanted to say we work very hard to model what community means to the young people in Sugar Hill. But I'll tell you this, in many ways they model what community means to us. And so I certainly felt that with this year's youth council and with the amazing young men in the BMM Enrichment Academy. And so I just wanted to say again, like I did at your graduation ceremony, what an honor and a privilege it has been for me to get to know all of y'all over the last couple years. Y'all are going to do amazing things. We just want you to come back when you graduate from college and beyond, high school. We just want you to stay in Sugar Hill and continue to give back to our community. And so thank y'all. And y'all are dismissed if you want to leave. It's okay. It's okay. Thank you, parents. Thank you, mentors. Thank you, young men. Thank you, youth council members. I told y'all it'd clear out quick. All right, we are now going to move on to everybody. We're getting started back on our meeting. We're going to get back by doing reports. I'm going to start with the city attorney, Mr. Hartley.
Thank you, Mayor. I have a very brief report this evening. Just wanted to let council know that my office is working with Jane and Chief King to bring a couple of and Art, I'm sorry, forgot to mention Art, to bring a couple of ordinances for your consideration in the next couple of meetings. Art and his staff had a meeting with the Gwinnett County Department of Public Health, and they've asked us to update some of our ordinances to match some newer regulations that are kind of outdated that we haven't updated. So my office is working with Art to bring those forward. And then Chief King's staff went through your code of ordinances and the ordinances of Gwinnett County that you all have adopted over the years. Gwinnett County's done some recodification and changed some things and moved some things around in the last few years, and our ordinances haven't gotten updated to match those updates by Gwinnett County. And so we're bringing forward some ordinances to re-adopt some Gwinnett County ordinances that y'all had adopted in the past and that kind of thing. So we'll be bringing those forward in the next couple of months for y'all to consider, some health department regulations as well as some things like the noise ordinances, parks and animal ordinances and those kind of things of Gwinnett County that they've updated over the last few years that y'all haven't, to see if y'all want to update those to the more modern Gwinnett County and Department of Health regulation. So just wanted to let you know that that was in the pipeline and would be coming either in the June or July meetings.
Thank you, Mr. Hartley. I think in 4 years you've had 2 reports, and so we appreciate your report. It is. All right, next we'll move on to city council reports, and I'll start with Mr. Perkle.
Thank you, Mayor. I'd just like to thank Major Kane and the Gwinnett County Police on the speed control efforts they did on Highway 20. Excuse me. That was fantastic. I think very impactful. We certainly noticed the difference for people that drive and live along that road, so thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Perkle. Mr. Hicks, you're up next.
Thanks, Mayor, for all the mothers in the audience. Hopefully all of you had an amazing weekend and a great Mother's Day. I wanted to applaud the bulk waste cleanup effort that we just had this past week. I felt that within my community and what I've received from other residents that it went very well. So again, another successful effort that is afforded to the residents here. I speak to a lot of my friends about it when it's coming on, and my friends that live in Beaufort, they wish that they had an opportunity to have something like this. So again, very commendable and great job from that effort. Again, in a week, in a couple days, it will be the last day of school for Gwinnett County, meaning that our kids will be out. Our kids will be having fun and camps and all of that. So again, we just want to be mindful of that. We also want to be mindful of our marshals who will definitely be present, making sure that our downtown and our areas are safe, and so super appreciative of them. But most importantly, I want to thank the educators for an amazing school year and what they do continuously for our kids throughout the school year. So definitely want to applaud them and thank them for their work. And then lastly, I didn't mention, but I wanted to mention in the council report, the BMM instituted an award which would be given every year, which would be the highest award given within BMM. And what they recognize two individuals with that award. And the name of the award is the Mayor Brandon Hembry Community Impact Award. And our very own Mayor Hembry was awarded, and Pastor Chuck was awarded that award from the BMM staff and team for the work that he does with those young men. There was probably not one Saturday, 2 Saturdays a month through the entirety of the school year that he was there, present, working with those boys from 8 a.m. to 12 p.m. every other Saturday. Sweeping, cleaning, buying stuff out of his personal account, or out of his own pockets, going to each one of these boys' soccer games and band concerts and all of that. That's called presence, right? And he just didn't speak it with his words, he showed it with his actions, and that's what a leader is all about. So the award is very, definitely it was an award that you deserve, and just wanted to make sure that everyone understood that you received it and that you appreciate it. So that's it. Thanks, Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. Hicks. Mr. Anderson, you're next.
Thank you, Mayor. Just a couple updates. This is the graduation season, and Marshall Parker, who leads our youth empowerment program, will be celebrating the graduates of his program Thursday evening. So once again, really seeing our folks investing in our youth and the folks that are going through that program. I had the opportunity to speak on entrepreneurship with them about a month ago, and I know that Councilmember Page has also spoken with them, and they're a great group of folks. Marshall Parker does a great job with those students, and so obviously it's a bittersweet time, this graduation time, as we see these young kids who invest so much in our community move on. I've got one in my house myself that's graduating, and so it is a bittersweet time, but we're so proud of them and all the work they put in to make that happen, and so excited, as Mayor Hembry said, about their future, and hopefully they will come back and continue to make Sugar Hill the great community that it is. The only other update I have is that the Riverlands Authority will be meeting this Wednesday at 5:30, and look forward to seeing anybody that would like to come, and as we talk more about the Riverlands. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. Anderson. Ms. Avery, you're up next.
Yes, thank you, Mayor. Tonight we had the chance to recognize outstanding middle and high school students on their achievements and their leadership. And the past couple of weeks, I had the opportunity to work with some of our younger residents in elementary school, as our second graders from White Oak Elementary, Sycamore Elementary, and Sugar Hill Elementary had their annual field trip to City Hall to learn more about how things work. And their field trip is Explore City Hall. And each class rotated through different areas in City Hall. They got to learn about a day in the life of the mayor, and I was able to talk to them about the role of a council member. The marshal talked to them about what Marshall does. Taylor Anderson talked about the STEM program, and it was such a great opportunity. It's so fun for me, especially to talk to these second graders and go over a little bit of what we do as council. Mr. Radford was in a couple of those presentations, and there are some of our youngest residents, but they have some really great ideas. So I see some future leaders there coming up as they move through elementary school. And I also wanted to commend Major Amanda Kane when she sent us the email about Operation Sugar Hill Slow Down. And one of our goals is make Sugar Hill safer. Not just a great place to live, but also a safe place to live. And I appreciate her efforts with the North Precinct for that. And that ends my report.
Thank you, Ms. Avery. Mr. Page?
Yep, sure. Thank you, Mayor. Just want to congratulate all of our community seniors as everyone is graduating high school and college. And of course, I hope everyone has a enjoyable and safe Memorial Day as we head into the summer months and kick off our Bowl concert series. So something that our community should be looking forward to. We have a fantastic lineup. Great work from our staff and getting some fantastic artists this year and every year past. So, Mayor, that concludes my report.
Thank you, Mr. Page, and I'll go next. I want to start by recognizing a very special guest tonight. We have Melvin Everson here from Gwinnett Tech. Melvin served on Snellville City Council for a long time, was a member of the House of Representatives down at the state capitol, and is now with Gwinnett Tech. Melvin has made it his charge to visit every city council meeting in Gwinnett County. Are we your last one, or do you have more to go? Okay, good. Well, we're honored and privileged to have you here tonight. Melvin has a very distinguished career and community service, public service background, and it's an honor to have you here tonight. Thanks for taking the time to visit with us. Very quickly, I want to say thank you to Council Members Anderson and Avery for helping with those field trips. Councilmember Avery in particular, there were 5 days of field trips, and so she committed all that time. I'm very thankful. The way she interacts with kids is amazing, and so just thank you for that. One last thing, I just want to remind everybody that the National Park Service, particularly the Chattahoochee River National Recreation Area, is in the middle of a public comment process right now that goes through May the 15th. They are proposing a northern park to the CRNRA that will be in the Orrs Ferry unit. I'm really excited about it. It's a low-intensity park with nature trails and bird watching opportunities and continued educational opportunities for our kids out at Crayfish Creek. And this has been something that several of us have been working on for several years in meetings with the Park Service, just encouraging them that this would be a valued asset in our community. And I'm thankful that they are to the point to where they're at least in the planning part of it and taking community input. It is all online. I cannot possibly give you the link tonight, but I'll just say if you put in Google, it's very easy. If you put in Orrs Ferry National Park Service, the first thing that's going to come up is their landing page for public input for the project. And so again, just encourage everybody to provide your thoughts on it. So it has the potential to be really impactful for us as a community, especially for our kids. And that is it for me. So I will now move on to Ms. Whittington for the city clerk report.
Thank you, Mayor. The city issued 13 new business licenses in the month of April. There were 6 home-based businesses and 7 commercial. Starbucks was one of the licenses issued. Balanced Body Wellness, a new tax center, hair salon. There was a variety of businesses for that month. Also issued 152 passports, and you can make a passport appointment by calling City Hall or going online. We have an appointment scheduled there. And also, City Hall will be closed in the city offices on Monday, May the 26th for Memorial Day. And also July the 4th, it's Friday this year. It'll be before our next meeting, so we'll be closed that Friday as well. And for the training update, just to let you know that Candy Peterman and Sydney Landers both attended the court clerk training at Callaway Gardens. This training is an annual training. It's offered twice a year in various locations. The most convenient was Callaway for them to go to. It updates, gives them the hours that they need for their certification so they can attend court and be our clerks there. Also, Nancy Dutton and I attended election training at Peachtree Corners. It was an all-day training on May the 1st, and the Secretary of State's office was there, and the state ethics was there as well to give us updates on any new laws, any new procedures that we had to follow. So it was excellent training. We follow that up with quite a bit online. So we'll be certified and going forward before the election. And that's all I have, Mayor.
Thank you, Ms. Whittington. Next, we'll move on to the city manager's report. Mr. Radford.
Thank you, Mayor. I'm going to just refer everybody to our May 2025 month in review for April to read. And I want to appreciate all of our department heads and their efforts to provide input, and thank Victoria for putting this together every month. What I'd like to do is ask Avery Simmons to come up and to give us an event update, and then I'm going to call on Annie McQuaig for a recreation update. So, Avery, if you would go first, I'd appreciate it. Concerts.
Speaking of concerts. Good evening, Mayor and Council. It is my pleasure to let you know that we have officially booked all of the concerts for the bowl season. So the next announcement will be tomorrow, and the tickets will go on sale this Thursday, and then the last of our concerts will be announced next Tuesday, with the tickets going on sale that following Thursday. That will put all of our concerts on sale before the first concert, which is May 24th. Last week we had our first farmers market. It was very well attended, and we had our first music at Sugar Hill earlier this month. We do have some weather predicted tomorrow, so we are looking at a potential rain plan for the farmers market. If it's necessary, we will move it to the lower City Hall parking deck. Otherwise, we have the Memorial Day ceremony on May 26th. The music will start at about 10:30, ceremony starting at 11. The first splash night is the last Friday of this month, May 30th. They'll be showing the movie Surf's Up at sundown. The Broad Street Concert Band and jazz bands both have concerts this month on the 22nd and 18th respectively. The Peach State Cornhole Tournament is coming back to the Don P. Gober Plaza on May 17th, and we do have another paint and sip on May 17th as well. Any questions?
Thank you. Thank you, Ms. Simmons.
Thank you, Avery. Andy? I know he was putting out a fire a few minutes ago.
Good evening, everyone. I made it, so don't be alarmed. I'm okay, really. Sorry. Parks and Recreation is going well. I don't think I've been in front of you for a couple months. So we finished off a bunch of soccer seasons, basketball seasons in the gym, heading into summer, which surprisingly enough for parks, summer is a little slower. However, the back of our City Hall is going to be booming here soon. We're working hard on making sure that the splash pad is ready to go. Our week of the Memorial Day weekend is kind of the target week, usually around that Wednesday or Thursday when we'll open. And then the Memorial Day weekend will be the opening weekend for the splash pad. It could be earlier, however, I'm not sure if many people want to be in 64-degree water, and that's about what the temperature of the water is still right now. So we will be opening up that week. The gym is going pretty busy right now. The E-Center is very busy right now with what we've already talked about, graduation and everything else that's happening throughout our high schools and our elementary schools. The golf course is having a tremendous month again, or they had a tremendous month in April. It started out pretty strong in the month of May. This week has kind of backed off a little bit, but I want to recognize Jim Dixon. I don't know if you guys haven't recognized him in the back. He is our superintendent at the golf course. He doesn't come here often, They do a tremendous job, and I think it's a great reason why our golf course is being so successful. So Jim attended a meeting tonight, so I just wanted to make sure I recognize him. Thank you for allowing me to do that. Without him and his staff, the golf course would not be in the condition that it's in. And unless there's any more questions, that is my report for this evening. And I know there's a couple of items that might have questions, but that's my report.
Thank you, Mr. McQuaig.
Thank you.
Are you ready?
I think one of the main items on the manager's report is the street repair and resurfacing program. So I wanted to share a little bit about where these locations are. I believe there's a list in the packet for you, but a map certainly does help when you want to see where these streets are in the city limits. So if our wizard back in the room could pull up the screen for me. Thank you. I do want to call attention, there is, in addition to the manager's report, a public project construction update on the website. That's the link to it. I'm unfortunately not going to leave it up long for you to grab that, but we'll come back to it later. And then I also want to just go through the presentation here real quick and show you, here are the total list of streets that are in the contract currently. So we have 15 streets, and it is a little over 3 miles of roadways that are part of the contract. We have finished about 60% of those streets, with a large section on just off of Riverside Road that are proposed for the last portion of the contract. So we have not replaced any of the street signs or traffic control signs in the neighborhoods, but that'll be a part of what our public works staff is responsible for. And then we do have a second round of funding that I will talk about later in the meeting. One of the other large items is the Transco meter station, which is where we take all the gas from the transmission company, Transco. And so we are working on an upgrade to that location. We are still in the middle of the design phase. You can't read any of that text, I apologize, but just we are in the middle of the design phase. And we are still tracking for a 10/1 in-service date. And that is all I want to mention in terms of the management report, but I'll call your attention to the rest of the construction update that is in that document. Next month, I will provide you a more comprehensive bridge update as well.
Thank you, Troy. In our management report, I would refer you to page 2, where we now have 12,694 active meters. And in our gas department has been working hard over the last 5 years to transition our meters to AMRs, automatic meter reading, and we've installed 12,288 of those. So we're getting up on completion, transitioning to the radio-based meters. The last thing I'd like to do is to introduce a new staff person who is sitting in the back of the room. Jennifer Howard. Jennifer, there she is. She's very humble. Jennifer is into our planning department. We've gone through a pretty rigorous process to arrive at the right candidate. She comes to us from the city of Peachtree Corners, where she was the economic development manager since 2022. She served with Jacobs Engineering before that as an economic development specialist when Jacobs Engineering was basically the private sector contractor for the startup of Peachtree Corners. She has also is post-certified. She was a police officer with the in the PIO unit of City of Alpharetta. She has a bunch of other education background. She has done some amazing things at Peachtree Corners that transition well to what we're doing here, and we're really happy to have her on board. She comes to us with a master's degree from Central Michigan University and an undergraduate degree from the same institution of a Bachelor of Applied Arts in Journalism and Communication. One of the funny things we learned in the in the interview process is that her and I went to the same high school. I was a freshman. I think, she was thinking about going there at that time, but in Port Huron, Michigan. So I went there for about a half a year, but because most of the time I was away playing hockey. So, but we are really pleased to have her join our staff. She started today. And if you get an opportunity to say hello to her after the meeting, I know she'd be more than welcome to meet you, and you'll be seeing her face more and more at city council meetings. So with that, I conclude my report.
All right, thank you, Mr. Radford. We have no youth council report tonight, so we'll move on to citizens and guest comments. This is an opportunity for anyone to speak anything on their mind about the city of Sugar Hill. Each individual has up to 3 minutes. Is there anybody that'd like to take advantage of this time? Yes, sir. Thank you. Just if you could, please just give your name and address for the record.
My name is Mark Daniels. Address is 5872 Sycamore Ridge Drive, Sugar Hill. I just wanted to thank the council for the repaving efforts that are going on. My neighborhood is currently undergoing construction right now. I did have one bit of feedback for any future projects. When they were going to go ahead and start the paving process in my neighborhood, they put out the signs that said "Did not park on the street" the night before they started construction, which gave very few people time to pull their vehicles off the road. Many people woke up at 8 a.m. to people knocking on their doors, asking them to move cars. Now, I wasn't one of those, but I did have neighbors that were complaining that they didn't get any advance notice. So if in the future we set up construction on roads, could we have, something in the contract that says they need to give advance notice to neighborhoods when they're going to be going through? So, okay. Yeah, but they didn't do it in my neighborhood, but yeah, that's all I have for that. I thank you for the repaving. We're very much appreciative. We just have one little thing to add on that.
Thank you, Mr. Daniels. I think the right person heard. Thank you. We appreciate it. Anybody else want to take advantage of this time before we move on to the items we need to take up tonight? Mr. Everson, you're always welcome.
Well, thank you, Mayor and Council. Thank you so much for this opportunity. As you stated before, Melvin Everson, VP, Community and Governmental Affairs at Gwinnett Tech. Prior to that, I was appointed by the Governor Deal, former Governor Deal twice, and former City Council Vice Mayor Snell. But I'm here tonight on behalf of Gwinnett Technical College just to give you a brief update on what's going on. We will have graduation tomorrow, over 700 students graduating from Gwinnett Tech tomorrow. And in regards to that, about 2 months ago, we had transfer day on campus, where the 2-year technical college students can transfer on to a 4-year institution. At Gwinnett Tech, on campus, we had Georgia Tech, Kennesaw State, Georgia Gwinnett College, University of Georgia, Middle Georgia State, Kennesaw State. And these individuals that are graduating tomorrow, a lot of them will go on to matriculate to 4-year institution. Currently, right now, at Gwinnett Tech, brace yourself, 11,500 students enrolled at Gwinnett Tech, and a lot of them are from this area here. And they are graduating with certifications because I speak to CEOs all around our service area. We cover all of Gwinnett and North Fulton County. They are looking for a workforce with those certifications and skill sets. Our cybersecurity program at Gwinnett Tech, we have over 1,000 students enrolled in that program. Just to give you a good example, we had a young lady who graduated with a 2-year associate's degree in cybersecurity, landed a job, and we have a placement rate of 99%. When you graduate, you will have a job. She landed a job starting at $65,000 with a 2-year associate's degree. 6 months later, she was up to $85,000 with a 2-year associate's degree. And parents and students have begun to realize, and business owners are looking for those certifications and skill set. And I'm just here to invite you all to come to a Gwinnett Tech. 2 months ago, Mazda Corporation announced that they're coming on board. They want us to implement a Mazda technician lab at Gwinnett Tech. We're doing a $10 million expansion for our automotive technician program. We already have Mercedes-Benz, Ford Asset Training, now Mazda, and Rivian and Tesla knocking at the door. Healthcare is a big entity. You cannot go in any hospital in Metro Atlanta without running into a Gwinnett Tech graduate. Rad Tech, CNA, LPN, nursing, we are everywhere. So Gwinnett Tech is a great opportunity here for students that are coming out of Lanier High School, North Gwinnett, and we pull from everything. And I want to commend you, Councilman Hicks and Mayor, and the city of Sugar Hill. I follow you guys on Facebook. What you did tonight for those young people is impressive. Keep doing that, because if we don't pour into these young people, the future of this city, a lot of them would be sitting where you are now. If we don't pour into them, we're going to lose them. And it's ironic that I'm here tonight as you recognize those young people, because I just had an opportunity to participate in Cruz Middle School doing exactly what you're doing, teaching the young people how to effectively speak, how to effectively be interviewed, shake hands, etc. So it's not going unnoticed. People are watching what you do here in Sugar Hill, and I want to commend all of you for being public servants, because public service is about leadership, and you show it each and every day. I've seen many of you at ribbon cuttings, and I'm all over this county and North Fulton. So thank you so much, and thank you all for what you do. All right.
Thank you, Mr. Everson. Appreciate your words and the great things that you do at Gwinnett Tech. Is there anybody else that wishes to take advantage of this time before we move on? All right, I see nobody, so we will move on to old business because we have no consent agenda. Art, have there been any changes on items 1 or 2 since our last meeting?
There have, Mayor, and good evening, Mayor and Council. I spoke with the owner of the property.
If I could, just for a moment, I don't think we were aware of this, so, and I just wanted to remind everybody that we've had the public hearing already on these items, and so I appreciate your updates to us.
Oh, sorry, Mayor. Sorry, I want to make sure I was ready, or you're ready. Yes, sir, and good evening again, Mayor and Council. We did hear from the owner of the properties on Sycamore earlier today. I spoke with the gentleman, and he is asking to stay tabled for the time being. We are meeting with him, his designers, architects, and others tomorrow. The owner believes that they may be able to rework some plans to where either the variance, the front setback variances either may not be needed, or if a variance is needed for one or both parcels, that they would be more minimal in amount. So it is the staff's recommendation that these 2 applications stay on the table until a later time, and we can bring those back once we are able to have those conversations with the owner and present updated plans.
Thank you, Mr. Newell. I actually think we need to make a motion to table, and so I'll recognize someone to do that for number 1 first.
Okay, Mayor, I'd make a motion that we table item number 1 on the old business until next month's meeting.
Okay, I have a motion to table from Mr. Perkle. Is there a second? Second. Have a second from Mr. Page. Any discussion before I call the vote? All right, all those in favor of tabling, please raise your right hand. All right, next we'll move on to number 2, and I'll ask for the same motion.
Mayor, I would also make a motion to table item number 2 from the old business.
Thank you, Mr. Perkle. I have a motion to table from Mr. Perkle. Is there a second? Second for Mr. Page. Any discussion before I call the vote? All right, all those in favor of tabling, please raise your right hand. Great. Next, we'll move on to new business, and we'll take up item number 3. Mr. Newell, I believe that is you.
Yes, sir, Mr. Mayor. This is a design review application, TCO 25-005, 4997 Spring Hill Drive. about that. Mr. Mayor and Council, you can see the subject parcel outlined in the lavender color. It is a single-family residence that is existing. The current zoning is RS 150 with some RM zoning adjacent to the parcel. This is a survey of the parcel showing the existing home, driveway, and the proposed porch addition, which will be on the front. There are no requested variances for the addition of the porch. And here is an elevation showing the proposed porch, which would have a gabled roof. And the schematics, which also show the gabled roof and dimensions. And Mr. Mayor and Council, the staff recommends approval of the site plan, buildings and material and architectural detail with the following conditions: that the final design shall substantially resemble the attached exhibit labeled Exhibit 1, and that is the recommendation from staff.
Thank you, Mr. Newell. Any questions of Mr. Newell before I open up the public hearing? All right, so we will move forward on the public hearing, and for just the first item, I'll explain how we do it. We do 10 minutes for those that approve of the application, and then we do 10 minutes for those that might be opposed or that would like to express concern about the application. And so I will start with the first 10 minutes for those that might wish to speak for approval of the application. You're welcome to come forward. And if you could, just give your name and address for the record, and we appreciate it.
Kinsley, 4997 Spring Hill Drive.
Thank you. Please proceed. You're being too serious. Relax a little bit. This is, we're going to take it easy on.
I just want a front porch.
We appreciate it. Any questions of the applicant while she's up here? All right, thank you for your time. Anybody else wish to speak in this category? You got to be kidding me, Mr. Schultz.
Andrew Schultz, 5350 Windswept Trace. I enjoy my porch, and I'd like her to be able to enjoy hers, so thank you.
I appreciate that. That's fair. All right, anybody else wish to take advantage of this time? And you don't have to take advantage of it. All right, we will close out this period of time for those speaking in support. Is there anybody here that would wish to speak in opposition to or express concern about the application? All right, I see none, so we will close out the public hearing. Any last questions of staff by City Council before I ask if there's a motion?
For staff, but I would like to make a comment to the applicant. I would just like to commend you on the application, the way it was prepared, the thoroughness of it. We discussed this at our work session. It was, as opposed to some of the other things that reached us and didn't seem quite ready. It was well researched, well presented. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Any other questions or comments before I call the vote or call the motion? Is there a motion?
Mayor, I'll make a motion for TCO Design Review 25005, and that is approval of the site design, and the final design shall substantially resemble the attached exhibit labeled Exhibit 1.
All right, I have a motion from Mr. Page. Is there a second? Second from Mr. Hicks. Any discussion before I call the vote? All right, all those in favor of the motion, please raise your right hand. All right, you've got yourself a porch. Congratulations. All right, next we'll move on to item number 4. Mr. Newell, that is you as well.
Yes, sir. This is annexation 25-001 at 5774 Henry Bailey Road for parcels 7-339, 001, 002, 003, and 073. This is a request to annex into the city of Sugar Hill and also to apply RS zoning medium density single-family residential to the parcels. Here are the parcels outlined in the lavender color. This is a bit more of an inset view. You can see the parcels fronting along Cumming Highway. This is generally across the street from the Emerald Lake subdivision near the public shopping center. You can see the mix of zonings that are in the area. Mr. Mayor, Council, here is the proposed site plan of the property. This is a proposed 40-unit, single-family detached residential product. Again, this is requesting to come into the city limits of Sugar Hill from an incorporated Gwinnett County. This is a typical lot layout. There are no variances being requested for the parcel, or excuse me, for the annexation and rezoning. This also includes the 5-foot sidewalks on both sides of the road. The next few slides, Mr. Mayor and Council, will be proposed elevations of the homes. And I'll just kind of go through those and just take a few seconds for each slide. Mr. Mayor and Council, the staff recommendation is approval, and I will say that this had a recommendation, does have a recommendation of approval from the Planning Commission as well. There was one citizen, Mr. Sutterth, who is an adjacent property owner, who did speak with some questions about the buffer landscaping. He seemed to be satisfied with the requirements that are imposed. The staff recommendation is to recommend approval. We have several conditions here. I'm fine to go through those quickly if you like, Mayor. This is recommend approval and annexation and rezoning to RS-72 with the following conditions. The development shall substantially conform to the site plan Exhibit 1, particularly regarding its general features, placements, and alignments. However, alterations necessary to accommodate other conditions specified herein are permitted without additional mayor and city council approval, provided they align with the spirit and context of the approval as determined by the planning department. All streets, alleys, sidewalks, common area landscape, and stormwater infrastructure shall be privately owned and maintained by the homeowners association. A copy of the deed dedicating said infrastructure to the HOA and recorded covenant specifying maintenance of the infrastructure shall be provided to the city prior to the approval of the final plat. And developers shall establish a capital reserve fund with a minimum balance of $50,000 for the HOA to use for the future maintenance thereof prior to certificate of occupancy for 50% of the homes. The covenant shall stipulate that no more than 20% of the total number of dwelling units are allowed to be leased at any one time. Notice shall be recorded in the covenants. At least 3 natural gas appliances shall be installed within each unit prior to certificate of occupancy. Landscaping shall be subject to review and approval by the planning department. And the proposed 20-foot landscape strip shall require an appropriate level of screening of the existing neighborhoods. The landscape strip shall include at least a double staggered row of evergreen trees planted to provide sufficient screening, as well as require a 6-foot opaque wooden fence. Such perimeter fencing and open space shall be regulated and maintained by the HOA. For purposes of calculation towards the open space requirement, designated areas shall consist of enhanced landscaping, benches, tables, gazebos, pergolas, or any other combination of recreational elements as reviewed and approved by the planning department in order to count toward the open space requirement. The vertical plane of each dwelling unit's primary front and rear facade shall modulate back and forth a minimum of 2 feet from the vertical plane of the dwelling units to either side. Units shall be constructed in such a way to create a unique character for each dwelling unit with cohesive design elements to unify the dwellings into the overall development. And sidewalks internal to the development shall be 5 feet wide. One other item that I did not mention earlier, we feel that this is in the spirit and intent of the 2045 Envision 2045 plan for the village concept. So I did fail to mention that a little earlier. But that is the recommendation from the staff and from the Planning Commission, Mr. Mayor and Council.
All right, thank you, Mr. Newell. Any questions of Mr. Newell before I open up the public hearing? Yes, Mr. Perkle. sorry, Meg, didn't mean to miss you.
Yes, I do have a question. I was going over the packet, and I noticed a letter from the Gwinnett County Department of Water Resources. And in that letter, one of the things that they mentioned is that the subject development is located within the Level Creek service area. This does not guarantee there is sewer capacity to serve this development. A sewer capacity certification must be obtained from Gwinnett County to confirm the existing system can serve the development. So I would like to know if that certification has been provided.
I do not believe, well, let me check the full file here, just a second. We do have a letter, and I'm not sure if it's the same one that you're referencing, Madam Councilwoman. This is from the Gwinnett County Department of Water Resources, and forgive me if I read the same thing that you just did, but this is saying that demands imposed on the proposed development may require upsizing or extensions of existing water mains in order to meet Gwinnett County standards and fire flow demands. Any costs associated with such requirements will be the responsibility of the development and will not be provided by this department. Then it goes on to say Gwinnett County standards require a minimum of 12-inch pipe size for commercial developments and a minimum of 8-inch pipe size for residential developments, including connections to existing mains. This department makes no guarantees and so on. So the letter that we have from Gwinnett County Water Resources acknowledges that some updates and upgrades may be necessary in order to fully serve the development. But that would be costs that would be borne by the developers.
Right, the letter that's in the packet is dated 2/28/25, and it is from Robert Krasnoff at the Gwinnett County Department of Water Resources. And I was just wondering, since the letter states a sewer capacity certification must be obtained, I did not know if that certification had been completed.
That is my best understanding right now, Madam, is that it may be something that we may get later if the zoning is approved, and then that if the developers or the applicants decide to move forward with that, it would be something that would have to be obtained with the Gwinnett County Water Resources in order to be part of the approval for site development.
I just had one other question about the private roads. It's been my experience in several circumstances that most private roads are for a gated community. So at first I thought maybe it has something to do with an HOA. This development for 40 homes is much less than several neighborhoods in Sugar Hill, either with or without an HOA, that have city roads. So I'd like to know how the distinction or how the requirement comes about to say these are private roads that will be maintained by the HOA versus these are roads that will be maintained by the city. How is that distinction made for which roads will be city and which ones will be private in a non-gated community?
I think that part of that is my understanding. I think a lot of the developments recently here in Sugar Hill have gone to more private street development. The coordination between, I guess, our Public Works Department and I assume probably the Gwinnett County Public Works Department to some degree with pavings and so on might have something to do with that. We can check to see if there is a strong preference, or stronger preference, for private street development versus public street development. So I don't really have a specific answer for you on that, ma'am, but that is something that we can see if the developer has a preference, and I would probably have to check with some other staff to see what preference there might be for that. But in terms of paving, or developing paving and the maintenance of new streets is something that we'll probably want to coordinate to see if there is a preference one way or the other between the developer and the city and or county. Yes,
Thank you,
ma'am.
Mr. Newell. I think in the public hearing, we're going to hear from the applicant, so we should be able to ask those questions. Then they might be better able to answer it. Mr. Perkle, yes, sir.
Yes, I just wanted to follow up Councilmember Avery's initial point about the certificate and ask the question to the city attorney. In what particular order and what will be the ramifications of doing this one way versus the other? It says the capacity certification must be obtained to confirm the existing sewer can serve the development. So do we need to pause this to make sure that's done first and table this? Or if we were to go forward with this, our requirement number one is that it has to substantially conform to the site plan. But if the study comes back and says it can't handle that volume, I mean, I would be surprised of that, but they're the ones that required this in the first place, and they would know better than me. But if that were to take place and we had approved this site plan would say 40 homes, and they say they can't accommodate it, and we say you have to build according to this plan, how would that proceed? Would we just drop out a certain number of homes? Would it have to go back and come back with a new plan? Is it better to get that done up front as opposed to doing it later? Or what would your recommendation be?
On the timing, I don't know that it particularly matters. They would be required to put this subdivision on sewer and not have septic. So if they can't get their, they have an availability letter. If they can't get their capacity letter from Gwinnett County, then they would not be able to build the subdivision. They would then have a zoned piece of property that if they can't build this, they would just have to come back to the city and ask for a change in conditions or ask for a different zoning in order to build on septic or build something with fewer lots that would allow them to meet the sewer capacity letter. So from a city council standpoint, if they ultimately can't build this, then their option would, and you go ahead and zone it, their option would just be to come back and ask for a change in conditions or a new zoning. And so, from y'all's standpoint, that doesn't matter, correct?
Yes, sir, Mr. Radford.
Thank you. And just to follow up on Xavier's question about the sewer capacity letter, we wouldn't issue a land disturbance permit until such time as they had that permit from Gwinnett County. And so, to the point that our city attorney pointed out, is that I don't think it really matters, but the zoning would be what it is, and they'd have to come back for a change of conditions if they couldn't receive that letter of availability and permit from Gwinnett County.
All right, thank you, Mr. Radford, for the clarification. Any other questions or comments before I open up the public hearing? All right, we will start the public hearing, and I'll recognize those for the first 10 minutes that might wish to speak in support of the application. It looks like the applicant may be here. Thank you. If you could just give your names and addresses for the record, we appreciate your time.
Hi, good evening, Mayor and Council. My name is Julia Maxwell with Mahaffey Pickens Tucker, 1550 North Brown Road, Suite 125 in Lawrenceville. I'm here on behalf of the applicant, Local Land Co., to request your approval for the annexation and rezoning of the subject property. As Mr. Newell stated, the subject property is a 4-parcel assemblage that's approximately 13.9 acres. It's located along Highway 20. Its intersection with Swanee Dam Road. The proposed development would be a single-family detached subdivision under the RS 72 zoning classification with a total of 40 homes, which would give it a gross density of 2.88 units per acre. The homes would feature attractive architectural elements and building materials such as gables, brick, stone, and two-car garages. The development would be accessed via a single entrance off of Highway 20, and we anticipate that Georgia Department of Transportation would require a right-in, right-out, and then also a deceleration lane. We think that this development is a good fit for the space and is in line with the comprehensive plan, even though it's not currently classified under the future land use map. But it is adjacent to a commercial node and the neighborhoods node. It would allow for a transition from more intense activity at the core of the commercial node, further up Highway 20 to the less intense single-family detached homes.
Austin Dorn with Kimley Horn, the civil engineer, 3930 East Jones Bridge, Peachtree Corners. And I can answer, I guess, some of the questions that came up earlier. We have not submitted for a sewer capacity letter from Gwinnett. We typically do that after we get rezoned. They have stubbed out a manhole to the site, which makes me think that they anticipate this site being on sewer. And we have also not, I think every project I've worked on in the last 5-6 years, we've never had an issue with the capacity.
All right. Any questions of the applicant while we have them up here? All right, no questions of the applicant. Thank you. Mr. Hartley, how much time do we have left?
7 minutes and 45 seconds.
All right, thank you. Anybody else wish to speak during this 10 minutes? Yes, sir. And please, if you could, I know who you are, but just give your name and address for the record.
Dwayne Suddeth, 5313 Mulberry Street in Flowery Branch. This is my grandmother's property. To answer some of your questions about the sewer capacity letter, I've been in development for over 30 years now. That's pretty much a standard thing. Just like your engineers copy and paste and put in your details, things that are just required. The county requires that with everything. They're going to tell everybody the same thing, but just like he said, they stubbed out a manhole in expectation that this property would go on to sewer. And it's like Mr. Perkle said, you know, no doubt they're going to have the capacity, but just for your reference, that's pretty much what that is. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Suddeth. Anybody else wish to take advantage of this time? All right, we'll close out this time. And yes. Well, unfortunately, you have to kind of pick one. I only have 2 10-minute categories. So.
Sorry, I thought you were closing out.
No, ma'am. We always do opposition. That's all right. All right, we'll close out the support time period, and we'll move to the 10 minutes for those that might wish to express concern or speak in opposition. Ms. King, you're welcome to come up. And thank you for your understanding.
I got my card.
And if you could, your name and address for the record.
Okay. My name's Marla King. I'm a resident of Sugar Hill, live in the city limits at 510 Emerald Parkway. And I live in Emerald Lake subdivision across from this proposed development. This applicant has gone through a couple times with the county and tried to develop over there. And we opposed it. That didn't go through for him on the county level, so now he's come over to the city of Sugar Hill for annexation and rezoning. And we still have the same argument that we had back then. And that is all the traffic on Highway 20. The way we get out of our subdivision is we have to cross the median. And we have a hard time getting out. We have a hard time finding a placement in that median to get across. We have people making U-turns there all day long, and there's no U-turn signs there. We have 18-wheeler trucks going into Publix trying to deliver over there. And our concern is the way this development sits on 20 is right turns in and right turns out. And if someone is going westbound toward coming on 20, they have to do a U-turn in our median to get to that development. And for number one, it's illegal. And number two is someone's going to get hurt. We've already had one fatality there. And that's what we're concerned about. When it was up in Gwinnett County, what they ended up doing to counter or to revise is they went, okay, well, we'll make the driveway on Henry Bailey, but it still requires people to cross that median there. And where we just have it so full of cars and we can hardly get out. This is what we do when we leave in the morning. We sit there, we look at the driver, we wave at them, hope they wave back at us, and we kind of give them the pray sign, like, let me get across the road. What I would like to do is ask you guys to table this and see if they can come up with a way, or get with the Georgia DOT, because I know they have jurisdiction on that road, to come up with some way they can get in and out of 20 without having to plant in that subdivision, I mean, in the median in front of our subdivision. Pretty much I guess that's all I've had. I said it pro bono and didn't read it. But anyways, we're very concerned about the traffic there and our lives and getting in and out, and this community's growing a ton. Single family, I love that. But just help us out there out front, figure out some kind of way to keep traffic out of it. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Ms. King. Mr. Hartley, how much time do we have left in this? 7 minutes. All right, we have 7 minutes left. Anybody else wish to speak in opposition or express concern? All right, we will close out the opposition time. And if you could, hold on, Mr. Perkle, we've still got some rebuttal time left. I don't know if the applicant would like to use a little bit of time to maybe address the concern.
Yeah, I would. I mean, I understand the concern with the traffic. I see that all over the place. Unfortunately, it's a state highway, and we don't have really the ability to tell the state what to do with their highway. I think the use that we show here is, pretty not dense compared to some of the other things that have been looked at. This is our first time through. And I would also say that right in, right out is the least invasive driveway that I think we could put in that location. Thank you.
All right, thank you. All right, we will close out the public hearing, and I'll ask if there's any comments or questions from council. Mr. Perkle?
I would just like to make a comment in regards to Ms. King's comments. We understand there's problems with access to your subdivision, and we do want to work with those with the county and the state. As I see it, there's 3 problems there. One, the U-turns coming from the westbound, which are illegal but are being done there, and they have recorded evidence of that, of 18-wheelers making turns there. Number 2, that area in front of their subdivision where the curb cut is frequently blocked by the traffic backups. I'd like to see one of those X's don't block the box there so that can be enforced. And then also the backup issues themselves. But I don't think 40 houses is going to significantly add to that problem, because I think a lot of that problem is either the U-turn from the left lane or the backup that's already there going west. But we do want to address those, and we will bring those up and see what we can get done to correct that for you.
Thank you, Mr. Perkle. Any other comments? Yes, Mr. Anderson.
Following up on that, and I had, Ms. King had emailed me earlier today, and it's something that since the Emerald Lakes made us aware of some of the concerns they had back with the zoning for the property behind Publix. We've been working with staff, both at the city level, the county level, and the state level to make some improvements at that intersection, including some signage that Ms. Avery had mentioned, and a concrete island at the median at Emerald Lakes that would help prevent, it wouldn't eliminate because people do what they do, but it would certainly make it extraordinarily difficult for tractor trailers to make a turn with a concrete median at their island that they have there, as well as prevent folks from going straight through the Emerald Lakes decel lane to get to Publix, which I know is obviously, that's a very dangerous situation when we've got folks speeding through a decel lane to go to a different intersection. So DOT has been responsive to us, which I'm thankful for. Usually they aren't. So I'm thankful that they are responsive to that. And as I told Ms. King earlier today, that is at their maintenance division right now, looking at any comments that they had for it prior to, hopefully, there's no guarantees, but we will keep pushing them to do that installation soon. So we have been working with those folks there at State DOT, County DOT to do improvements to that intersection.
Thank you, Mr. Anderson. And as he said, he has been working on that for several months now and making good progress with Gwinnett County. All right. Any other questions or comments? Yes, Ms. Avery.
Yes, I would agree about the traffic. I went and walked that area too, and I just think, I know we all like to do what's convenient, which might not always be the right thing. And if somebody can only turn right into that neighborhood and only leave right, I don't think they're going to go all the way down to the light at Swanee Dam to turn around. They'll use that median over by Emerald Creek. So I think that's a big factor for this, even though it's only 40 homes. So I do have a concern about the traffic. And hopefully, I know Taylor's been working with the DOT departments. The last update we got was April 22nd, and they were going to send a proposed design for review. So hopefully something will come up very soon, like very soon. That's one of my issues on this. And as I mentioned, I also have an issue about the private versus city-owned streets. We have many neighborhoods in Sugar Hill, as I mentioned, either with or without an HOA, that are much larger than this neighborhood, and they're city-owned streets. And I just feel like if we're going to welcome this neighborhood and these new residents into Sugar Hill, one of the services that we can give them, since the city is in charge of services, is not to have those streets private, since it's not a gated community. I don't know if I would want to buy a house knowing that myself and my 39 other neighbors are in charge of the roads and the street improvements and all of that. And I'm sure the HOA dues would reflect that, but I'm just not sure I would want to join in as part of that. And as I say, we have many larger neighborhoods in Sugar Hill that are city-owned roads. My other concern about the neighborhood is the rezoning requested as RS 72. We need to be very careful in looking at this, that it stays specifically for this site plan because of other groupings that are allowed under RS 72, which would be townhomes that are allowed with restrictions. So we need to be very careful that it stays. I love the plan. The plan looks great. The houses look great. They're very nice. I think that it would fit in. I talked to some of the residents on La Perla, and a couple of them didn't know about it, but they did not seem to have a problem with it, which is in an adjoining neighborhood behind them. But I'm just concerned about the traffic and the roads. And I appreciate the information that was given about the sewer certification. So that's all that I have. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Avery. Mr. Page.
Sure. Thank you, Mayor. In regards to the private versus public streets, I think it can be viewed as a pro for the residents of these 40 homes here, just because that will give them the flexibility in the future if they ever wanted to construct some sort of access control at the front. They would have that opportunity to do so. With adequate planning, they would be able to fund their reserves if they start from the beginning to go ahead and start saving. And that's for anything that we do in life. We have to adequately save, or just like when our retirement comes, I'd be looking at a bank account of $100,000 when it could have been $2.5 million if you started younger. So, I think that's just a thing for the residents to consider, and that's nothing that the city can force upon them. If the residents choose to have lower association dues in the beginning, then there will be there will be consequences 20 to 30 years down the road. So that pre-planning measure will become key for them. But that will also open up opportunities for, as I see many communities that would like to have some sort of gate for their community, they cannot because they do not want to take over the burden of a public road. And in this case, that these are already going to be private. So if they wanted to do that, one hurdle is already done for them. They can just install that gate. So thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. Page. Any other questions or comments? All right, is there a motion? All right, Mr. Anderson.
Mayor, I'll make a motion to approve AX 25-001 with the 9 conditions recommended by staff, also clarifying on condition number 1 that the maximum number of units within the subdivision shall be limited to 40, adding that to, in addition to condition number 1, add that to that. And then a 10th condition that requires a 30-foot landscape strip along the right-of-way of Cumming Highway.
All right, I have a motion from Mr. Anderson. Is there a second?
Mayor, I'll second for discussion.
All right, have a motion and a second. Discussion?
A couple items I'd like to see addressed here. Condition number 1 says that development shall substantially conform to the site plan. I'd like to insert a sentence after sentence number 1 that says only single-family detached homes will be allowed. I'd like to remove condition number 2 for the private streets. And then for condition number 6 that talks about the open space, I would like to add a statement at the end of that paragraph that says Lot 30 shall be set aside for community green space dedicated to the HOA. A gazebo, playground, or swing set and benches must be installed. At the work session, I mentioned that. I discussed potentially 3 other lots as well. Those are more topographically challenged, and this is central to the development. So I would like to add those conditions.
All right, since we're in discussion, any further discussion on what Mr. Perkle has proposed? Mr. Page?
I mean, I'm okay with everything that you mentioned, Councilmember Perkle, except for the striking of number 2. I think that would be an option for a homeowner. If I'm looking for something like that, then that's just a free market, if you will. So if I choose to be in a community that has private streets, then so be it. And that also takes the burden off of the city for future, and hopefully shows that and reflected in our continuing of reviewing our millage rate for years to come. So,
Mayor, I would amend the second to leave condition number 2 in then.
All right, so what I'd like for us to do is let's back out of the motion that was made, and let's just start all over. Mr. Perkle, would you back out on your second?
Yes, Mayor, I withdraw the second.
Mr. Anderson, would you be willing to try to make the motion that accommodates Mr. Perkle's additions?
I will amend my motion to keep the condition of a maximum of 40 units as single-family detached on condition number 1. Leaving condition number 10 of a 30-foot landscape strip along Cumming Highway. An 11th condition that requires lot number 30 to be a community amenity, including a gazebo, benches, or, I'm sorry, it was playground or other such community amenity as approved by the planning director. Is that fair enough, Mr. Perkle?
With one clarification, dropping 30 out reduces it to 39 houses from 40.
Okay. I think just leaving a maximum of 40, I mean, I don't think they're going to be able to do anything else. So you're saying you want the maximum to be?
Well, it was already in there for 40, and if I suggest dropping out 30, that would make it 39 as opposed to 40.
A maximum of 39 units, Art. Sorry about that. Yeah, that's why, yeah, I already clarified that. Thank you. And then condition number 10 was the 30-foot landscape strip along Cumming Highway, and I believe that covers it. Is that correct?
It does.
Okay.
All right, I have a motion from Mr. Anderson. Is there a second? Second from Mr. Perkle. Okay, good. All right, I have a motion. Yes. I just love making policy on the fly. Yes, sir, please. I just want,
Just a request and I guess a question. You know, if we take lot 30 out, we're going to have to look at the site plan again to kind of reconfigure the lots. There is a lot between 34 and 30 that shows, that is 7,500 square feet that we took out of this plan, that we show mail kiosk and parking. I think we'd be willing to put all the elements that you mentioned in lot 30 in that space to have that as the amenity area, almost in that same area. Lot 30 is just kind of central to the community, and if we do remove that, and if we were allowed to keep 40 instead of 39, we would have to kind of reshuffle lots a little bit just to see if we could get back to 40. So I would, you know, make the request, if we could, we would be willing to include all the amenity elements that were mentioned in that corner lot between 34 and 30 that was already set aside for amenities. Thanks.
yes, sir, Mr. Perkle. We're still in the,
Question, is that a drainage structure there and a drainage pond, or?
No, sir. We showed a mail kiosk and parking area. That corner lot essentially was left for amenities for this neighborhood.
That would be adequate. I could not tell from that illustration that that's what it was. I'd be in favor of that, Mayor.
all right, Mr. Hartley, help me out here where we are in the process. We have a motion and a second, and
We do.
obviously
and-
a desire for an amendment.
Correct. So I think we can, again, see if the person who seconded it wants to withdraw that. And then Mr. Anderson can modify his motion to change the number of lots back to 40, delete condition number 11. So it would be his 10 conditions at 40 lots with this adding the single family wording. And I think that would get us back to where we, oh, yeah, I guess number 11, you would, instead of just leaving the language about the community amenity, just deleting that, you would delete lot 30.
All right, Mr. Perkle, will you withdraw your second?
Yes, Mayor, I'll withdraw the
All right,
second.
Mr. Anderson,
Mayor, I will amend my motion to have condition number 1, instead of maximum of 39 units, to make it a maximum of 40 units as single-family detached, and revise condition number 11 to add a community amenity of a playground, gazebo, benches, or other such amenity as approved by the planning director in the location of the mail kiosk as shown on the proposed site plan.
Second.
all right, I have a motion from Mr. Anderson, a second from Mr. Perkle. Any further discussion before I call the vote? That was in it. Yes, ma'am. All right, motion second. Any further discussion before I call the vote? All right, all those in favor of the motion, please raise your right hand. All right, thank you. We will now move on to item number 5. Mr. Newell.
Yes, sir, Mr. Mayor. This is RZ 25-003, 4862 White Street. This is a request to rezone from MH, which is manufactured housing zoning, to R36 for detached single-family residences. This is the parcel outline in Lavender. The street is unique in that the city of Beaufort borders, and half of the street, I believe the Beaufort half is called Line and our half is called White, down through the middle of the right-of-way there. The blue star shows the subject parcel. The brown color is the MH zoning. The gray shaded color are the parcels that are in the city of Beaufort. The proposal is to divide the parent tract into 3 parcels for 3 single-family detached homes with 5-foot setbacks. I will mention to council, and this was mentioned at the work session last week, the building code requires a minimum of 10 feet between structures. So even though there's a 5-foot setback that's proposed, the building code requires a 10-foot setback between the actual structures themselves. And again, this is a proposal to divide the parent tract into 3 single-family detached homes. Here are a couple of pictures of looking down White Street, and that is the subject parcel. You can see the green zoning sign. It kind of blends in a little bit with the grass there. And some pictures of some of the existing homes along Line Street. Mr. Mayor and Council, the next couple slides are renderings of the proposed homes that will go on the lot, or the lots, if approved. This does come with a recommendation of approval with a unanimous vote from the Planning Commission. The staff recommendation is approval with the following conditions: that the development shall substantially conform to the site plan, which is labeled Exhibit 1, submitted with the application, particularly regarding its general features, placement, and alignments. However, alterations necessary to accommodate other conditions specified herein are permitted without additional mayor and city council approval, provided they align with the spirit and context of the approval as determined by the planning department. At least 3 natural gas appliances shall be installed within each unit prior to certificate of occupancy. The units shall be constructed in such a way to create unique character for each dwelling unit with cohesive design elements to unify the dwellings into the overall development. And the side setbacks shall be reduced from 5 feet to 10 feet. And again, I'll say that the building code requirement is a 10-foot setback or distance between each individual home. That is the recommendation from the staff.
Thank you, Mr. Newell. Any questions of staff before I open up the public hearing? All right, see no questions. All right, we will open up the public hearing and begin with the first 10 minutes for those wishing to speak in support of the application. And if you could, just give your name and address for the record.
Hope you're all just as nice to me as you were with the front porch applicants. Let's see if this works out.
That's approved right there.
There's my wife and dog at the University of Michigan. Good to hear that there's some Michiganders here. All right, here we go. There we go. All right, good evening, Mr. Mayor and Council. My name is Tyler Lasser with LJA Engineering at 299 South Main Street in Alpharetta. Here tonight on behalf of the applicant, Southvine Homes, who is requesting to rezone the site from MH to R36 for 3 single-family homes. Thank you for setting all this up. I just want to reiterate a few things and kind of fill you on a few more details here. Here is a map from GIS. As you can see, the site is located at the edge of the city with Buford directly across the street. This site is near that intersection of Buford Drive and Peachtree Industrial, so it's easy to access and is sort of between downtown Sugar Hill and downtown Buford, so it's a real ideal location to live and a great opportunity for future development. As you can see with the building footprints, it's mostly mobile home zoned property along White Street, but you can kind of see that there's some additional smaller footprints, and what we're proposing here is a little bit more of a traditional zoning category that's a little more consistent with the pattern of development in the area and in the county as a whole. Here are some examples of the existing housing along White Street. I know you saw some of these pictures before. I'm sure you're familiar with the street. As you can see, there's a variety of styles in the housing and the age and quality. They are mostly smaller homes. Some have a garage, some have carport, and some just have driveway parking. Here's that subject site again. It did have a vacant house on it, which has since been cleared. This is a great flat property with access to utilities. It has water and sewer ready to go, which is unique for the county these days. It's, we're starting to it's hard to find some properties like this nowadays. And it is bigger than some of the adjacent properties in the area. So we found this would be a great opportunity just for a little infill project like we're proposing today. Here's our site plan as proposed. The entire property is about 0.7 acres, so each of the 3 lots will be about 0.2 acres in size, which is common with the area and common for an older city neighborhood like this. Each lot will be about 50 feet wide minimum, and about 180 feet long, which will allow for a nice big front and rear yard. We will exceed both the front and rear yard setbacks. Like I said, the rear yard setbacks will be about 80 feet, so nice big backyard, and we will meet the front setback or exceed it. I think they're mostly 30 or 32 feet. But we would like to request to reduce that side yard setback from 10 feet to 5 feet. This will allow the developer to build the product that they are comfortable with and that they've been successful with in the past, and a product that has a 2-car garage. That's just the demand for housing in this area. People do want the 2-car garages just because they have multiple cars. They have a lot of stuff, unfortunately. So that's what is drawing people into some of these new developments. It's also less cars to be parked on the driveway within this neighborhood. And again, this is a total of 10 feet between the homes. So 5 feet on each side, 10 feet total minimum. I do want to point out that there's kind of some examples I have here showing it's not uncommon to have some of these structures close by. Some of these are the manufactured homes behind. You can see there's some real tight setbacks there, as well as on White Street, some of these homes have either their home or a garage or some sort of structure very close to the property line. So again, it's not uncommon in this neighborhood to have structures less than 10 feet apart. Going back to the elevations, these homes will start at 1,600 square feet, and that's minimum heated floor area, and we'll have the 2-car garage, like I mentioned. These will be constructed with, cement siding and accents of brick and stone, so high-quality materials that are also consistent with the neighborhood. I do want to point out, actually, I'll go back to the site plan here. Just a few more things I want to mention. Again, this property is zoned mobile home, which would allow us by right to construct multiple mobile homes on the property. But we think that these would be a little bit more suitable for the neighborhood and hopefully stunt some growth within the community a little bit. Beyond that, I'll kind of end it there. I just want to mention, again, we've received support from staff as well as the Planning Commission, and I've actually had some folks come up to me after the Planning Commission meeting and the last Mayor and Council meeting, just kind of saying good luck and that they were excited about this project. Other than that, we agree with all staff's recommended conditions, and I'm happy to answer any questions you might have.
All right, thank you. Any questions of the applicant? All right, I see no questions. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Hartley, how much time do we have left? All right, we've got just under 5 minutes in this category. Anybody else wish to speak in support of the application? Yes, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Nick Thompson, 117 Timber Lost Trail in Swanee. I was here and saw Tyler present at the Planning Commission. He was sick and did a great job. I thought he did a great job at y'all's work session last week. I'd like to echo what Councilman Perkle said about thoroughness and completeness of applications. And specific to the side setback request, Art, at the work session, you were asked about administrative variances. They are 20% off the standard. So staff could do a side setback variance to 8 feet administratively. These guys are the real deal. They are taking this character area and a plethora of products that they have successfully built in the past, they're making the right fit. I think that's evidenced by y'all's discussion last week, specific to the outbuilding to the south that was measured off, somewhat comparable to the side setback variance they're requesting. So I would say, let's approve them and ask them to do more business here. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Thompson. Mr. Hartley, how much time do we have left? 4 minutes. Anybody else wish to speak in the support category? All right, I hear none, so we'll go ahead and close that, and we'll move on to the 10 minutes for those that might wish to speak in opposition to or express concern about. All right, looks like nobody wishes to take advantage of that time, so we will close that time period out as well. Any questions, comments before I ask for a motion? Yes, sir, Mr. Perkle.
Just a few comments, Mayor. I don't have any problem going with 2 lots here. I think 3 is too small. As I go down Peachtree Industrial and it becomes McEver Road, you go into Hall County and you see Oakwood and Flowery Branch, and you see those subdivisions they built up there with those houses 10 feet or so apart. I think they look terrible, and it's not something I'd like to see in the city. I'm happy to go 2. I think 3 is too much. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Mr. Perkle. And I'll just, if you don't mind, just make a quick comment as well. I did want to make sure that I had the viewpoint of some of the neighbors, and so I reached out to LaWanda Titshaw, who's been a friend of mine for many years. She's lived in that area. She's lived on that street since 1972, and she mentioned that she was in 100% support of the proposal because she believes that it's going to make a generational change and impact to that community, and so just wanted to make sure that I stated that. Mr. Page.
Sure, thank you, Mayor. I think this is a great infill development project, especially right here on the city limits line of Sugar Hill and Buford. But I think I do echo a little bit of Mr. Perkle's concern in regards to the lot size. When you look at what our sister city Buford does a lot of times with their infill developments, a lot of their lots are edging closer to the 0.25, 0.30 acreage size, when they're doing infill development, and that's kind of where they hover at. The 0.2 is just really throwing me off in terms of the lot size and the closeness of these properties. So I think it's a great transition area. I think this is what this area needs, but coming from 3 down to 2, I think that will really definitely spur, and just I think 1 street over or 2 streets over, there are multi-million-dollar homes that were just built. So that's kind of the great area for it, and opportunity for maybe a little bit of a nicer house there to spur some more development on that road and around that area.
All right, any other questions or comments before I ask for a motion? All right, is there a motion?
Mayor, I just like to add a comment. I don't know the developer's opinion there. R36 seems a bit tight. I don't know who would yield a larger zoning category or a different zoning category, or if we go 2 under the R36. But that's kind of where I am, and I'd be interested in their opinion on whether they'd be interested in going 2, because I'm not interested in going 3.
Mr. Perkle, I have closed out the public hearing, and we are in the process of accepting motions, and so I'm going to make a suggestion to you all that you table this item until next month, and we can discuss it some more.
Sure, Mayor, I'll make a motion to table RZ 21E5003 4862 White Street to rezoning.
All right, I have a motion to table. Is there a second?
Second.
I have a second from Mr. Perkle. Any discussion before I call the vote? All right, all those in favor of tabling, please raise your right hand. Those opposed, like sign. All right, thank you. All right, this is tabled until next month. All right, we will now move on to item number 6, zoning ordinance amendment for residential driveway policies.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Mayor. The City Council had approached staff fall last year to request options for residential driveways to be able to have some alternative materials, and specifically gravel. And the staff presented 3 potential options for text amendments at the October City Council work session, October 7th, 2024, and City Council was asked to provide some guidance on the preferred text amendments, and the recommendations below result from conversations from that work session. Mr. Mayor and Council, this is a summary showing the proposed text amendment. Currently, we're looking to consolidate into a single section while preserving the intent and existing requirements while simplifying the standard to require a maximum of 20% parking coverage for the entire lot, which eliminating separate requirements for individual yard areas, and clarification that these parking regulations apply to single-family detached uses, and clarification that accessory vehicles may only be parked inside and rear yards. And the policy purpose is to streamline the application and regulations and not give the appearance of conflicting regulations, and a reduction in the total lot area permitted for parking to align with the policy desire to reduce the quantity of driveways. This would allow for permanent gravel driveways that comply with a minimal set of design specifications that shall be constructed of number 57 gravel, at least 4 inches in depth, compaction criteria per the supplier's recommendations, a durable border constructed of wood, concrete, brick, or stone, extending a minimum of 1 inch below the depth of the gravel, that it shall be maintained so that no gravel fragment leaves the driveway and parking area. Aprons shall comply with the city standard details. Mr. Mayor, we surveyed some of the surrounding communities to see what the requirements and limitations were for impervious yards. And you can see we have Beaufort, Decula, Duluth, unincorporated Gwinnett County, Johns Creek, Lawrenceville, Milton, and Suwannee. And I'll just leave this here for a second so you can see some of the numbers that they have and the requirements of where parking can be. It does vary somewhat.
Thank you, Mr. Newell. You can move on.
Okay. We did ask Clark Patterson, our consultants, for a driveway detail so that we would be able to have specifics to provide to residents, and also for staff to be able to have as a guide to be able to help citizens with the requirements should they desire to have a gravel driveway. So this plan shows, this detail shows the specifics that would be required so that there would not be ambiguity. This did have a recommendation by unanimous vote from the Planning Commission. The staff recommends approval of the amendments as outlined.
All right, thank you. Mr. Newell, any questions of Mr. Newell before I open up the public hearing? All right, we will move on to the public hearing, and I will call up the first 10 minutes for those that might wish to speak in support of the zoning ordinance amendment. Anybody wish to take advantage of that time? All right, I see nobody, so we'll close out that time period. We'll now move on to the 10 minutes for those that wish to express concern or speak in opposition to the zoning amendment. All right, I see nobody, so we will close out the public hearing. Any last questions or comments from City Council before I ask for a motion? Yes, Mr. Perkle.
I have one, Mayor. At the end of the work session, Mr. Hartley pointed out to me that a lot of these neighboring ordinances reference the front yard in their percentage here, where here we reference 20% of the entire lot. I have a concern with that because we had multiple intents in bringing this up. One of these was dealing with a situation where someone had bisected their driveway or their front yard with a third driveway, right? And I'm concerned if we only state 20% of the entire lot as opposed to something similar that was there before, of either making that a percent for the front yard or the back, or just dealing with the front and letting the back be handled by this 20 or 40% impervious cover, that somebody could, according to this ordinance, there may be other things that prevent it, but they could practically make their whole front yard a driveway. For instance, my lot is 9/10 of an acre. A lot of it's a drainage ditch to the side, but 20%, my HOA wouldn't allow it, obviously, but 20%, I could pave the whole front yard by this. And so I just think by saying 20% of the entire lot, we somewhat missed the mark and don't quite cover what we were trying to cover by this. I would like to see that say 20% of the front yard, and then potentially let the 40% impervious deal with the rear yard. But I don't think we've adequately protected the front yard if we use our standard of measuring as 20% of the entire lot. And I apologize, I did mention that to Mr. Basesh after the meeting, so I was hoping it would be changed before it got here tonight. But it was after the last meeting before I did, that technicality was pointed out to me.
All right, if there are no other questions or comments, Mr. Perkle, would you be prepared to make a motion with an amendment?
I'm fine to change that to 20% of the front yard, if that's agreeable to the council. I'm willing to put it to a motion if we want to determine that way, or if we want to discuss it first or table it. I'm fine either way.
Let's do it, and we can have discussion
Okay.
within the motion if there's concern about it.
Thank you. I'd make a motion that we approve these recommendations, changing the section in Section 407, Regulation Summary, from 20% parking coverage for the entire lot to be 20% of the front yard.
All right, I have a motion with an amendment from Mr. Perkle. Is there a second? Have a second from Mr. Anderson.
Second for discussion, Mayor.
All right,
The only caution I would give is 20% is pretty low as a percentage. Personally, I think you would want to probably make that 30%, but okay. All right. So that's all I got. Thank you.
all right, Mr. Perkle.
I'm fine amending the motion to 30% of the front yard, Mayor.
All right, Mr. Anderson, I'm assuming you'll withdraw your second.
I will go ahead and second with the amendment.
Sounds good. I have a motion and a second. A motion from Mr. Perkle, a second from Mr. Anderson. Any further discussion before I call the vote? All right, all those in favor, please raise your right hand. Okay. All right, next we'll move on. We have just 3 more items left, no public hearings. We'll move on to item number 7, Mr. Basesh.
Thank you, Mayor. As I mentioned last week, the state of Georgia has authorized additional local maintenance improvement grant funding through the local roadway program, and they are releasing those funds to local governments to provide some additional road repair funding. And it is an amount equal to $309,000 for the city of Sugar Hill that we are eligible for. We have a contract currently in place with Triple R Paving for some $862,000 worth of road repairs in the city limits. And we have completed about 60% of that, as I mentioned in my earlier presentation. The portion of work that remains is some $300,000 worth of repairs. So we still have a budget of about $1 million, and the delta there is about $138,000 worth of additional budget to be able to apply to the proposed additional work. At the work session, I mentioned that in addition to this additional funding from the state of Georgia, we did have the balance of the budget to apply to it. We have discussed over the last year or so providing a strategy for not only doing a worst first repair method, but also providing some pavement preservation methods to accomplish a pavement management program that is comprehensive. And those are things like fog sealing, microsurfacing, and about 6 other methods that we don't need to get into tonight. But I was not ready to provide a recommendation at this month's meeting. I will prepare a recommendation for the June meeting based on some input that I hope to gain tonight through this discussion and presentation. When I mentioned that, I did take a really hard look at information that you have before you, which is our latest pavement rating system map that Mr. Perkel asked about last Monday. And in addition to that, our current contract with Triple R Paving, which has unit prices established for traditional repair methods like milling and overlay and patching, deep patching, but does not include some of the methods that I mentioned for pavement preservation. So there is a little bit of a uphill climb when it comes to setting up a new scope of services and a new advertisement for a new contract. So I want to step through kind of what this data tells us in terms of the current pavement condition, and then I want to tell you where my recommendation is heading with it. So let me orient you. This is not a really good graphic to capture everything about it. There are some colors on the screen which represent green is good, red is bad, but there are also some fuzzy lines that are the project areas that we are currently tackling with our current contract with Triple R Paving. So you'll see that is overlaid against a mapping level and layer system that is easier to read at this level, but I want to show you the next one, which is a zoomed in area of the neighborhood off of Swanee Dam Road, which is Grand Magnolias. So it's the main road in there. So I want to show you this and just tell you kind of how we use the data currently. The red road at the top of the image is one that ties into Island Ford Road, and the graphic takes the amount of data that we are able to collect with this automated system, which takes photographs and comes up with a average for each road segment. It is made up of, I wanted to zoom in a little bit and show you the left image is the segment data. The right image is the compilation of individual photographs. So you'll see there's a little bit of a difference when it comes to that little spur that connects to Island Ford Road. I'm going to kind of draw your attention to that for a moment. So we look at the field verified data as a way to ground truth the information that is being provided to us through an artificial intelligence system that rates each individual picture. So I want to zoom in a little bit more and show you a little more detail of this particular spur that connects to Island Ford. So each of the dots on the left side of the image are these individual photos as one of our staff drives each street. So you'll see there's some dark red. There are some good segments that are okay. So we have to provide some field verified recommendations with each of the analyses that we do, each of the times that we drive the city. And so we put it all together and come up with our best recommendation. And that has to do with not only the road condition for each individual segment, but it also has to do with how we track the overall pavement repairs in the city. So we'll try and tackle an entire neighborhood at or about the same time. So each of the neighbors experiences a new paved condition at or about the same time. So this is the north half of the city. These are our PCI ratings. That stands for Pavement Condition Index. And from 2024, this is middle to the latter part of the summer when we drove all the streets. You'll see that some of the neighborhoods that are a little more in bold are the ones that we're tackling with our current contract. And then over on the left is the rating categories from 100 down to 0. The total amount of roads in our system is closer to 76, but this just is reporting 75 3/4. So most of the roads are in pretty good shape. As you can see, the totals are on the bar to the right of each particular grade and grouping. The southern half of the city represented in this image. Again, I've got the legend to the left, but you can see that this is based on the segments themselves, not individual photos. So when we start looking at the individual segments, we do find that the lower rated roads do tend to drag the average down quite a bit, and so you'll end up with a red segment. I do want to look at a couple in detail for you, and then I will stop talking, I promise. So this particular road that my cursor is on is Commerce, and then one further down in the industrial park is Jenkins. So here is Jenkins. Jenkins is alligated to the point where we'd have to do a full depth type project, so we full width milling and probably mill down to the GAB. We've done that on a couple of occasions. It's an expensive process. This one is probably a 36-foot wide road. It is to a point where we know that we're going to have to tackle it with that repair method. So if it slips a little further down the list, it's not that big of an issue. It's about 27 years old. Here is Sycamore. I can't remember the name of the subdivision, but it's up Sycamore on the left. Ardmore Court. It scores very low, and largely due to the condition of the asphalt. And what you see in this image, there's a lot of raveling, which means all of the asphalt emulsion has weathered off or has degraded under the UV conditions over that 25-year period. Also, the system picks up things like these patches on the left and the utility cuts in the middle, and also drags down the score quite a bit. So this one is rated pretty low. The other neighborhood street is not that bad, but this is one that we would tackle through traditional means, not necessarily the full depth repair. So this is where we do rely heavily on our field staff to go out and verify the condition of the road before we just agree that because it's a 25, we're going to do a full depth project for it. So after I've said all that, I'll ask if there are some questions, but my recommendation is heading in the direction of adding some of the current streets to our current contract for milling and overlay, rather than going through a pavement preservation separate contract. I would like to include that in next year's bid so we get unit prices for different pavement preservation methods in the 2026 program. And I do have some streets ready to go for next month, so this is based on our field staff verifying these conditions. And I will go back to the map if there are some questions.
I have just a point of clarification, if you don't mind. What we have on our agenda is the grant request.
Yes.
Which should be separate, right, from a list of streets that we're paving. Do you want us to table this tonight?
I think the list, the application to the state has to include
Okay.
a specific number of streets and the specific streets.
Got it. Thank you for clarifying that. All right, any questions or comments? Yes, Mr. Purple.
Just one question. If I understood you correctly, we've got this LMIG amount, but you also mentioned other budget funds to be used. Do you have a total on what the total paving dollars may be?
I will by the June meeting.
Okay.
And I can tell you more precisely. We've paid out about $500,000 of the contract with Triple R, and so they're based on unit prices and quantities, so I've got to get closer to finalizing what that is.
Okay, thank you.
All right, thank you. Any other questions? Yes, Mr. Anderson?
Troy, one of the things I've mentioned in the past is curb and gutter repair, or also patching or that sort of thing. Through this process, I know the PCI is primarily, well, it's only focused on the pavement, not on the curb and gutter. As we do the street repair, can you refresh my memory on the process for the assessment of the curb and gutter, which in some places I've noticed is in poor shape, or you might have sections that look like it was poured maybe during the rain or something like that, and probably got too wet, and so now it's cracking and you can see exposed aggregate or even gravel in some cases. How does our street staff handle that situation?
If it's still functioning from a stormwater standpoint, we don't really address the aesthetics of the curb and gutter. And I think the ones I know about have really been still on the side of more of an aesthetic issue than a functional one. So that is our approach, and if there are locations, we would spot repair those. One of the things that I do like about the Violytics software that we're using for the pavement assessment is they are expanding the functionality to include traffic control signage. That has been an issue for Federal Highway as far as verifying the condition of the sign. So we've got sign inventory that we're able to build with this software. And then I think I've asked about sidewalk condition assessment, and we can also ask about curb and gutter condition assessment as well.
All right, any other questions? All right, is there a motion to table until next month?
Mayor, I thought he mentioned he wanted us to approve the LMIG and then follow up with a second.
I
Was that
think I
correct
asked
or
the
not?
question.
I
and
can
think
wait
he
till
answered.
June.
Okay, all right, sorry.
It's totally up to y'all what you want to do, but I think I just asked the question, and you told me that you wanted this to be tabled until June, right? Okay, got it. Just for my own clarification. Thank you, Mr. Perkle. Is there a motion to table until June?
I'll make a motion to table to June.
I'd have a motion from Mr. Hicks to table. Is there a second? Second from Ms. Avery. Any discussion before I call the vote? All right, all those in favor of tabling, please signify by raising your right hand. All right, next we'll move on to item number 8, which is the purchase of Gulf System irrigation repairs. Mr. Bisesh.
I'll be much more brief this time, I promise. After 30-something years of service, the irrigation pumps and the system in one of the primary pump houses is in need of repair and replacement. It was budgeted in this year's repairs and rehabilitation budget in the Gulf Fund, and we did secure 4 price proposals for completing these repairs, and at least 2 of them are under budget. The one that we are recommending, I'll show you some photos of the equipment that is required to be replaced. It's not a small residential irrigation repair that we're talking about. These are very large pumps and very large system elements that are required as a part of it. So the 4 proposals we received were the ones on the screen. Actually, 3 of them are under budget. Tri-State, Jerry Pate, Central Turf and Irrigation, Ewing Outdoor Supply, Tri-State Pump and Controls provided the lowest responsible price of $159,578. And so the staff recommendation is to approve the purchase from Tri-State for $159,578 and authorize the mayor to sign the contract for the installation. I did provide a corrected contract for Jane, so she's got the one that requires the mayor's signature.
Thank you, Mr. Bisesh. Any questions? All right, is there a motion? Sorry, do you have a question?
No, I was going to make a motion.
All right.
With apologies to Jim, because I'll probably hit thankfully it's inside of a covered pump house, so when I hit that thing with my golf ball, it shouldn't damage the new pumps, so I apologize in advance. I make a motion to approve the purchase of repairs to the golf course irrigation control system from Tri-State Pump and Controls at a cost of $159,578 and authorize the mayor to sign the contract for installation.
All right, I have a motion from Mr. Anderson. Is there a second?
Second.
Second from Mr. Hicks. Any discussion before I call the vote? All right, all those in favor of the motion, please raise your right hand. All right, next we'll move on to item number 5, which was added. That is the millage rate tax notification policy.
Yes, Cindy and I have been working on this last meeting to try to clarify the process, and I think this right here is probably the simplest way to show you when the letters will be issued, and what timeframes are in between the various actions until we get to the last thing we want to do is file a FIFA. I'll let her walk through the changes we've made in the written document as well as just go over this particular collection cycle. Cindy?
Good evening. Before we get started too much, I just want to clarify that this policy basically is documenting the procedures that staff has been doing since we took over property tax billing back in 2021. With the exception of liens, we've not filed liens at all. So Mr. Radford did a thorough job last week discussing the policy, and I'll be happy to get into it. Based on your feedback, we have added a couple items on here as far as specifically when letters would be issued. Late notices to be added, to be sent 1 week after the due date, and a second late notice to be sent 1 month after the due date, as well as the FIFA letter as the third letter. So those have been incorporated. We also made one change, and this is administrative related as anything else, that FIFAs would be charged for anybody over $150 balance due rather than $50. So those changes have been made in that. I'll be happy to go through this, but it's basically the timeline. We get the digest, mayor and council holds the hearings and approves the millage rate. We do the storm water review and charge stormwater fees, bill it, mail it, collect it, etc. This does show interest being charged every month after the due date, starting November 21st. Penalties as described by the law, which is 5% every 120 days, with a maximum of 20% penalties. And I think that's the main changes. Unless you have specific questions, I'll be happy to go through it.
All right, thank you, Ms. Pugh. I think Mr. Perkle might have a question, and maybe in addition.
Okay.
Right, some comments. In discussion at the end of the work session with the city attorney, I asked what happens in the event of a county tax sale, and I'm not sure if I asked about foreclosure as well, but at least in the county tax sale, our position will be wiped out by just having a FIFA. And so my thought was, if that is the case, and clarify me if I'm wrong or misunderstanding Mr. Hartley, but if that is the case, then I feel we can't afford to let the amounts get too large or we lose them out if there's a tax sale, right? So the only change I would suggest is that if an account is 3 years or $10,000 accrued in past due taxes, then we need to go ahead and issue the tax sale ourselves to not lose that total amount of money will be out there, and fine for council to discuss if they want to see modifications of those numbers. Those are just numbers that I thought, on a individual property, it'd probably take you 10 years to get 10,000 or more, and that's why I thought maybe 3 years there. On some of the commercial properties, you might get there quite a bit quicker. Would also like to add to that, we do have a number of properties that are past due now, so even though they may exceed those thresholds, I wouldn't want to immediately go to that. I would like us to start with the process of sending these letters again and try and follow up and collect. But I feel if we allow the amounts to get too large by only having a lien out there, those liens could be rendered null by a county tax sale, and then we'd be left with nothing. So I felt we might need to address that part of it.
All right, he has raised a question. Anybody wish to comment on it? Have any other additional thoughts? Mr. Hartley?
Mayor, the only comment that I would make, I think Mr. Perkle quoted me correctly that if the county does decide to do a tax sale, there is the possibility that as part of the tax sale that the city's past due taxes might be affected by it. I would say that with the city filing FIFAs against the properties, if the county does a tax sale with the FIFA existing, the county would be required to notify the city of the tax sale, because in order to do a tax sale, the county has to do a title search, see if there are any liens on the property, and then notify all lien holders. So once the city starts filing its FIFAs, then the county will start notifying you of any tax sales that they have for which you have a FIFA out there. So the FIFA provides you, filing the FIFA continues to provide you with additional notifications and additional protections to make sure your taxes get collected. So just wanted to provide that additional context. It doesn't necessarily correct. That is correct. Doesn't necessarily change anything except that you'll get an additional notification of the county tax sale that if you don't file your FIFAs, you won't get those notifications necessarily. So it does build in some additional protection. Just wanted to add that additional context.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Hartley. Any other comments?
So you're suggesting that if someone owes over $10,000 or outstanding for 3 years, not a and or?
Or.
Okay. I'll be happy to add whatever we need to add and do some research on it. I mean, we've been collecting property tax since 2021, and we still receive funds every week from Gwinnett County, from people, from collecting property tax, from older stuff that's out there. So it may only be $150 a week, it may be $1,000, it may be whatever, but there's a lot of old accounts that are out there that are still paying. So.
Mr. Anderson, yes.
Is it possible, Cindy, sometime between now and the June meeting for you to give us collect that data and give us that number that if we were I'm a little hesitant to support 3 years or $10,000 until I know the scale of what it is that we're talking about. So could you tell me how many properties there are? And I don't expect this obviously tonight, but is that some data you can collect that so that we would know what number of properties we're talking about?
We have, I always bragged on the county that they collected 98, 99%, 97, 98, 99% of our property tax. So that was always a good thing. But I have to give our staff credit for the last year's data. We have collected for 2021 98.76% collection rate. For 22, our collection rate is over 98%. For 23, it's over 90, it's almost 97%, and for 24, it's 93%. So there are some balances outstanding that we need to tackle and we need to file FIFAs on. There was a lot of confusion going between the county and the city, and there was a lot of leniency on the city's part before we decided to do that. So I think this policy in place will put the timeline in place for those FIFAs to be filed. And when you get a FIFA filed on your home, it does create a little bit of urgency to make that payment, whether it's a home or a business. So,
Ms. Pugh, just a question. Would you be comfortable moving forward tonight with an adoption, with an amendment from Mr. Perkle, or do you feel like you might want to research and understand it a little bit more? We had this conversation before the council meeting, and I think we agreed that if this is too much for somebody to wrap their mind around at this point, then we could wait.
I'm fine dropping that out, coming and adding it, if that's
Okay.
a better way to go. I just think that's a liability we need to consider.
Yes, sir.
and I agree. We did not put anything in here regarding sale of the home. Obviously, we don't want to sell people's houses, but if you have to, you have to, so.
All right, so I'm just giving a suggestion. As you stated, let's go ahead and move forward with this tonight, and then we can take that up in June, the additional language, the amendment to it in June. Mr. Radford.
I want, if I could ask Frank a question about, is there a hierarchy of collection of liens on property that is subject to a tax sale?
There is. I mean, tax liens have the highest priority of all liens. But once a tax sale is done, then anything prior to that tax sale gets wiped out because the tax liens have the highest priority, you're notified, which is why I mentioned the FIFA portion, you're notified because then you have the opportunity to go and bid at the tax sale in order to make sure your lien doesn't get wiped out. So so there is a hierarchy, but the purpose of the notification of this tax sale is because your lower liens might get wiped out. You have the opportunity to show up at the tax sale and bid on it to protect your tax lien. If it's sold at tax sale, there's also a redemption process where you have the possibilities to come back in and pay the redemption price to protect your lien. So there's potentially multiple bites at the apple to protect your tax lien.
I guess I was speaking more among the taxing authorities.
No, tax liens all have,
Not the liens, other liens, mechanic liens or whatever.
tax liens all have the highest priority, and then you go down from there, but there's no priority within tax liens. All tax liens are
I
the
just want to
same.
make that clear. Thank you.
Yep.
Thank you.
All right, Mr. Page, did you have a question?
I guess I think this is probably just because the hour is getting late on us, but in terms of Mr. Perkle's line of thinking, and maybe I missed this in the policy, are we saying that there is no actual kind of line in our policy now that says when we will actually go to a sale? Is that what we're saying? Is that correct? I guess in my line of thinking and someone who has participated in numerous tax sales throughout the state of Georgia, both in the northern counties and the southern counties, I think it's a great opportunity to get people to come to the table and for cities and counties to recover what is due to them. At the end of the day, no one likes to pay taxes. I pay taxes. We all here, hopefully you have paid your taxes in some form or fashion. In my opinion, it doesn't matter what that amount is. I mean, I've bid on stuff that was $12. It's still a tax that is owed to the county or to the city, and whatever that time frame is, I think it should be more time bound instead of amount bound, because there's many different property sizes. It would take you forever, possibly on some parcels, to ever get to $10,000. So just my food for thought there as we potentially adopt this tonight and look into June of not having something that is so hard as a monetary value of just what is that timeline? Is it 2 years? I think the county is 18 months or 2 years is when they start turning these things over to sale and going through that process. So whatever our sister cities do and our counties do, I think more go that route versus trying to say $10,000 or something like that. Make it time bound and not monetary bound.
All right, thank you, Mr. Page. Any other comments on this item number 9? All right, is there a motion on this item number 9?
I make a motion to approve.
I have a motion to approve from Mr. Perkle. Is there a second? Second from Mr. Anderson. Any discussion before I call the vote? All those in favor of the motion, please raise your right hand. All right, that is it from an agenda standpoint. Do we have a need for executive session?
Yes, Mayor, we do.
When our attorney says we do, then that means that we do. Is there a motion to go into executive session? Have a motion from Mr. Hicks. Is there a second? Second. Second from Mr. Anderson. All those in favor, please raise your right hand. Thank you for making it unanimous so I didn't have to call. I don't think we'll have any action that we need to take outside of executive session, but we will come back out shortly when we're done. We met in executive session. We discussed 3 real estate matters, 2 personnel matters, and 2 legal matters, but we have no action to take outside of executive session. So I will entertain a motion to adjourn our May City Council meeting.
Honorable Mayor Brandon Hembry, I would like to make a motion to adjourn the May City Council meeting.
I have a motion from Mr. Page. That was a great motion. Is there a second? Second. Second from Mr. Hicks. All those in favor of adjourning, please raise your right hand. All right, we are adjourned and we'll be back in June.